Trump dominates, Hillary incinerates, big media bloviates, and Howard Riell explicates. My name is Howard Riell, and this is Riell Truth. You're listening to the American Freedom Network, streaming live around the world at AmericanNewsNet.com, and on Facebook and YouTube and Tumblr, and in my book, Riell Truth, Stay Angry. And of course, as always, broadcasting out across the Colorado Front Range on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado, 1360 AM The Lion. Our call-in number is 877-254-7524. My friends, welcome back. Let's get right to it. Item from the Holy New York Times. Senator Bernie Sanders beat Hillary Clinton among nearly every demographic group in the Democratic New Hampshire primary, according to exit polls. He carried majorities of both men and women. He won among those with and without college degrees. He won among gun owners and non-gun owners. He beat Mrs. Clinton among previous primary voters and those participating for the first time. And he ran ahead among both moderates and liberals. Even so, there were a few silver linings for Mrs. Clinton. While Mr. Sanders bested her among all age groups younger than 45, the two candidates polled evenly among voters aged 45 to 64. Mrs. Clinton won the support of voters 65 and older, and though Mrs. Clinton lost nearly every income group, she did carry voters and families earning over $200,000 a year. Unquote. In other words, anyone who spent an hour talking to Goldman Sachs. Item from the Hollywood Reporter. Poor Hillary Clinton. This is Bill Maher speaking. Liberal Bill Maher, the TV host, stand-up comedian, talking about what happened in New Hampshire. He writes the following, says the following, quote, poor Hillary Clinton. I mean, she just is such a Charlie Brown figure. I could see the nomination slipping away from her again. The hatred for her is just amazing. The hatred on the right and the abandonment on the left. She's particularly hard to watch as a candidate. Yes, the hard truth is that Hillary Clinton is a terrible campaigner who is living in a different era. Unquote. My friends, when fellow gonzo liberals tell you that you're an idiot, you're an idiot. Hillary Clinton does not belong anywhere except maybe a dog pound. Item from Politico, Dateline, New York. When Hillary Clinton spoke to Goldman Sachs executives and technology titans at a summit in Arizona in October 2013, she spoke glowingly of the work the bank was doing, raising capital and helping create jobs, according to people who saw her remarks. Clinton, who received $225,000 for her appearance, praised the diversity of Goldman's workforce and the prominent roles played by women at the blue-chip investment bank and the tech firms present at the event. She spent no time criticizing Goldman Sachs or Wall Street more broadly for its role in the 2008 financial crisis. It was pretty glowing about us, one person who watched the event said. It's so far from what she sounds like as a candidate now. It was like a rah-rah speech. She sounded more like a Goldman Sachs managing director. Unquote. My friends, what that means is that you are an idiot. And I'm an idiot. And all Americans are idiots. At least that's the way Hillary Clinton sees us and talks to us. She says one thing to Goldman Sachs, says another thing to the American people, and so it's a time to join hands. Goldman Sachs and the American people should join hands in telling Hillary Clinton to go to hell. Item from the Daily Beast. The primary results contrast highlights just how much damage Bernie Sanders is doing to Hillary Clinton's campaign. Even though he's still a long shot to snag the nomination, his candidacy is persuading young voters, women, and progressives that Clinton is in the pocket of big banks and corrupt corporations. And it's persuading Clinton's own supporters that they're on the sadder side of this contest. The crowd's devotion to their candidate highlighted just how much damage his candidacy is doing to Clinton's, even if she's the party's ultimate nominee, which still seems all but guaranteed. Numerous Sanders supporters flatly stated that they would under no circumstances back Clinton, citing the criticisms of her that Sanders brought up on the stump every day. Ashley Bays of Quincy, Massachusetts, who came to New Hampshire to volunteer for Sanders, said she would, quote, absolutely not back Clinton ever. It would be completely against my ideals, she said. Hillary is obviously not thinking about the best interest of the people. She's thinking about the corporations that fund her, Goldman Sachs. Peggy Greenow, a New Hampshire voter who came to the party along with her husband and 3 sons, said she would not vote for Clinton if she's the nominee. I don't trust her, she said. I don't trust her at all. Marilyn DeLuca of Londonderry, New Hampshire, also said Sanders is, quote, the only candidate out there, unquote, with integrity. She isn't exactly enthralled by Madeleine Albright and Gloria Steinem's goofy arguments that women are obligated to back Clinton. They're irrelevant, DeLuca said. Their time has come and gone. I have 2 daughters in their 20s, and they were so angry when they heard that, unquote. Item from the Daily Mail. Headline, how the Clintons embraced Wall Street and made $76,000 a day by cashing in with speech after speech, but now Hillary wants to fight to rein in the money men. Hillary and Bill Clinton have taken in a total of $150 million since 2001 when he left office. In 2015, at the height of their earning power, she and Bill made $27,946,490 in total. That's $76,565.72 every day. They made speech after speech to Wall Street big names with 39 appearances for banks and other financial and legal institutions. Hillary refuses to release transcripts, which she ordered to be made, of the speeches unless every candidate does the same for all private sector talks. Hillary spoke to a series of other bodies, never for less than 6 figures, and even got $100,000 for a satellite appearance. Now she says she wants to rein in Wall Street and get secret, unaccountable money out of politics, unquote. My friends, the truth at a certain point becomes so obvious it's almost shameful. Hillary Clinton is an inept fool and an inveterate liar. She says one thing to the big banks who pour money into her war chest. She says another thing to the American people to whom she panders. She's a disgusting individual. And by the way, I haven't even mentioned all the rumors I've seen online about she and her husband having people killed. Think I'm making this up? Google it. You'll find it. Now, I don't know if they're guilty, and I'm not accusing them of anything. I only know what I've read. But I know that the Clintons are disgusting examples of humanity. And anybody who would even dream of voting for them could also be described in similar terms. It's Wednesday. It's Riell Truth. I'm going to be here probably yelling for the next hour. Stay tuned.
We all know that our government is out of control. What are the point the people in it? How can we, the people, bring it back to the people's servants, not the people's masters? Liberty Forum and the Freedom Rider says officials in government must be made accountable for their actions. AccountabilityRevolution.com is the place to go to learn how you can actually make that happen. Become their judges, not their slaves. AccountabilityRevolution.com. Fort Collins Radiator Shop reminds us child abuse is one of America's saddest crimes. Child abuse is not just some other family's problem. If you or anyone you know needs help, call your local authorities. This message from the friends at Fort Collins Radiator Shop, 417 Jefferson Street in Fort Collins, serving the community for over 47 years. For all your radiator repairs, call 970-482-6783. On the air for our children.
And of his fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 16. United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
right, guys, welcome back. Howard Riell, Riell Truth. Donald Trump, the big winner in the New Hampshire primary. Here he is talking to the folks at Fox News. Let's listen.
The nation primary is in the books, and the Trump train rolls on.
We are going to do something so good and so fast and so strong, and the world is going to respect us again. I am going to be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. We are going to start winning again, and we're going to win so much. You are going to be so happy. We are going to make America so great again, maybe greater than ever before.
All right, next stop, South Carolina. But can Donald Trump keep his momentum going down south? The man of the morning now, over the phone, Donald Trump. Donald Trump, congratulations. I watched you last night, and you have to have a sense of relief. Am I correct?
Well, I think so, Brian. You know, we had a great week and a great period of time, and you know, I love the people up there. They're just great people, and I've known them for a long time, long before the whole political thing. But it was a wonderful feeling.
Did you not trust the polls after you were up 5 in Iowa and ended up neck and neck with Ted Cruz? Was there a part of you that didn't trust what you were seeing?
Well, we did really well in Iowa, as you know. You know, we came in second. We had a lot of votes, and frankly, the thing that happened to Ben, which was a very, very sad situation, we would have actually won Iowa. But I didn't think of Iowa. I really thought only in terms of New Hampshire. And you know, you never know. I mean, I had these massive poll numbers, but you never know if they're going to be real. You start to say, well, what does this mean? But they turned out to be real. Actually, the numbers were actually higher than even the polls, so that was a good feeling.
Donald, let me ask you this. On the cover of the Union Leader here in New Hampshire this morning, there's a picture, and it shows you and Bernie Sanders as the big winner. Famously, the publisher of the Union Leader said, Donald Trump has in an op-ed, Donald Trump has no business being in this race, and they endorsed Chris Christie. What's your message to the publisher of the big newspaper here in New Hampshire after you clobbered the rest of the Republicans?
Well, you know, he is a bad guy, and he asked me for advertising for his newspaper, and he wanted me to make speeches, and he wanted me to do his debate, which was just before the Fox debate, the one where you drew 24 million people the night before, and I said, I can't do that, I'm sorry. And I thought it would have been ridiculous for me to do it. And other guys like Jeb Bush, as an example, did it and made a total fool out of himself, and it really hurt him. And frankly, you know, it was just one of these guys. He's just a bad guy. He picked somebody that it didn't work out. And Chris is a friend of mine, but obviously it didn't work out. And, you know, he's just a bad publisher. The paper is going down the tubes, as some papers are. But his paper is failing badly. I don't think it's going to be around long. So I felt very good. You know, when I won, I sort of said, maybe I'll mention him in my speech. But I decided not to do that. I wanted to keep it very high level. And by the way, did you notice who had the very early exclusive, folks? I mean, he grabbed me before I went in. There was a guy named Ducey, and I'm not the young, good-looking one. There was a guy named Ducey that grabbed me on the way in, and he had the exclusive. So that's pretty cool.
Yep, and we were lucky to get that scoop, Mr. Trump. You know, some other liberal outlets attacking you this morning. The Huffington Post has a headline out. Also, the New York Daily News, Dawn of the Brain Dead. They have you pictured as an evil clown, like the Joker, and it says, clown comes back to life with New Hampshire win as mindless zombies turn out in droves. Many have wondered if your enthusiasm from your crowds would translate into votes. It has. Are headlines like this direct insults to your supporters, too?
Well, the owner of the Daily News, which is a totally failing paper, in fact, I think it's out of business, they tried to sell it, and people said, you have to pay to buy it. In other words, they had to pay them to buy it. It's going to be closing soon, I'm pretty sure. And the owner is a guy named Mort Zuckerman, who's got a total inferiority complex, and he has for years. And he's just one of these guys. I mean, you know, they do that. He's jealous as hell because he would have loved to have done it himself. And just one of those things. Look, it's another paper that's going down the tubes. They use my name. They do the clown thing every week. I'm on with a clown picture, and maybe it sells, maybe it doesn't sell, but the paper's going bad. So what can I tell you?
So Donald Trump, word today that Governor Christie went home to think about where he goes from here. He had just about 8% of the polls, a distant sixth. What are your thoughts about his candidacy? And if he does get out, how do you feel he was as a competitor?
Well, he's a friend of mine, and he's a talented guy, and he's a good guy, and he called me last night, and which was very nice. We talked for a little while. And, you know, he really did a great job. He did an incredible job in the debate. And frankly, I was standing right next to Marco, and I was watching Chris, and he really, he's got a lot of talent. I don't know if he's getting out at all. I have no idea, but I would, hey, look, I like everybody to get out. I want everybody to get out except for me. But frankly, Chris is somebody that maybe wouldn't have to get out. I think somebody like Jeb Bush has far less talent than Chris, and he's still in. So, it's one of those things. I'd love to see, in many respects, I have to tell you, Brian, I'd love to see Chris stay in.
Of course, ultimately, you would like to be the nominee versus Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton got clobbered last night here in New Hampshire. What's your message, what's your analysis of what happened to her, and can it happen elsewhere?
Well, I think she's lost a lot of confidence. I see that, and I don't know what's going on, between the emails and now the politics, and Bernie, who is, I think, not going to end up being a very good candidate in the general election. I think I'll take a lot of states away from him. A lot of states, like maybe a New York state, where I do very well, and, places that the Republicans, no other Republican is going to get. I think we'll get Michigan. I think we'll definitely get Florida. I think we're going to do fantastically, but Hillary does seem to have lost a lot of confidence. There's no question about it. I just don't know. Is she going to continue to run? And if she continues to run, is she going to win? It just doesn't seem to be going the right way at all. The word momentum is very important, and certainly there's not a lot of momentum there.
Mr. Trump, thank you so much for your time, and again, congratulations on your big win, taking 35% of the vote in New Hampshire. We'll see you in South Carolina.
Okay, thank you very much.
And my friends, what occurs to me is that Fox News is suddenly being really nice to Donald Trump. When I have watched their reports over the last few weeks, they've never passed an opportunity to slight him, to minimize his accomplishments, to make nothing of his followers. Sean Hannity has not done that, but everyone else on Fox News has done that. And now that Trump has kicked everybody's ass in the New Hampshire primary, suddenly Fox News has learned respect. Well, respect is a good thing. Respect is a better thing when you give it not because you're afraid, but because you actually do respect the person you're showing respect to. Corporate media. Item from the Weekly Standard: Donald Trump got everything he wanted in New Hampshire primary and a whole lot more. He's not only a stronger front-runner in the Republican race than ever, he's now in the driver's seat on the road to the presidential nomination. Trump is dominant. Here are a few examples. Every Republican candidate who finished first and second in Iowa and New Hampshire has won the presidential nomination. Having done so, Trump is now in a class with Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Bob Dole, George W. Bush, and Mitt Romney. John McCain was a partial exception in 2000, having basically skipped Iowa and then won in New Hampshire. And it doesn't matter where the first and second place finishes occurred. Reagan was second in Iowa in 1980, then won New Hampshire. Dole won Iowa in 1996 and settled for second to Pat Buchanan in New Hampshire. That New Hampshire failed to force all the marginal candidates out of the race is a boon for Trump. There's still no single establishment candidate to oppose him. There are 3, maybe 4, and they're fighting each other, not Trump. That's important. If Jeb Bush is still running when the Florida primary occurs on March 15th, he'll split the establishment vote with Marco Rubio. Trump will win Florida. A similar situation will exist in Ohio if Kasich, the state's governor, hangs around. Kasich and Rubio and maybe Bush will form a circular firing squad. Should Trump win both states, the race is over. Trump was zinged after Iowa because his vote was less than polls had forecast. But in New Hampshire, the opposite happened. The Real Clear average of New Hampshire polls pegged Trump at 29.5%. He got better than 34% in the actual vote. There were suspicions that Trump's percentage would be significantly less than previous winners in New Hampshire. It was, in some cases, mostly campaigns with fewer top-tier candidates than this year. Trump slightly trailed Bush, 38% in 1988, and Kaine in 2000 at 37%, but he beat Buchanan in 96. No embarrassment there. The Trump magic appears to be spreading to states with upcoming primaries. A political group polling in House races found recently that Trump's lead in Alabama and North Carolina is roughly 2-1. That's what Trump beat runner-up Kasich with in New Hampshire. Trump should be pleased Kasich is his closest rival in New Hampshire. Kasich is a weak challenger post-New Hampshire. He doesn't have a national campaign. He's running as a moderate, which won't help him in many of the primaries in southern states over the next few weeks. Kasich is simply not a candidate with a viable future. For him, New Hampshire was both the beginning and the end. No Republican has fared as poorly as Bush in Iowa and New Hampshire has ever won the nomination or even come close. He thinks he has a chance to break out in South Carolina on February 20th, but don't count on it. The only highlight of his campaign in New Hampshire was the appearance of his mother, Barbara. He said New Hampshire, quote, reset the race. Maybe, but not for him. Bush's failure proves once again that money is overrated in politics, at least as a means of making a weak candidate look strong. On the other hand, the $24.5 million that the super PAC Right to Rise spent on TV ads attacking Marco Rubio had some impact. Negative money works. Unquote. My friends, Jeb Bush is a zero. He's a dweeb. He's a dip. He's a nebbish. I can keep throwing words out all day long. Knowing that he has this reputation, knowing that this is how voters view him, he brought his mommy out with him on the campaign trail? Does that sound to you like someone who's got anything at all on the ball upstairs? Jeb Bush has spent unbelievable amounts of money, and he's in 4th or 5th or 6th place depending on the poll that you look at. You know what? Jeb Bush should resign. He should give up. He should drop out of the race. He won't, because he's got millions and millions to spend, and believe me, he's got nothing more important to do. Item. From the Economic Collapse blog on Tuesday, junk bonds continued to crash. The price of oil briefly dipped below $28 a barrel. Deutsche Bank was forced to deny that it's on the verge of collapse. But the biggest news was what happened in Japan. The Nikkei was down a staggering 918 points. But that stock crash made very few headlines in the Western world. If the Dow had crashed 918 points today, it would have been the largest single-day point crash in all U.S. history. So what just happened in Japan is a really big deal. The Nikkei is now down 23.1% from the peak of the market, and that places it solidly in bear market territory. Overall, a total of $16.5 trillion of global stock market wealth has been wiped out since the middle of 2015. As I stated yesterday, this is what a global financial crisis looks like. Item from the End of the American Dream blog. Did you know that more Americans now die from suicide than are killed in car crashes each year? According to the CDC, there's been a substantial spike in suicide deaths in the U.S. in recent years. Today, approximately 9.3 million Americans admit to having suicidal thoughts, and approximately 2.7 million Americans each year actually make a plan for how they would commit suicide. We are a deeply, deeply unhappy nation, but of course this phenomenon is not just limited to America. According to the World Health Organization, suicide is now the 3rd highest cause of death in the entire world. Globally, suicide rates have soared by 60% over the past 45 years, and the World Health Organization is now projecting that by the year 2020, someone will be committing suicide somewhere in the world every 20 seconds. Unquote. My friends, just imagine what would happen if you woke up tomorrow, turned on the news, and saw that Hillary Clinton had committed suicide. How would you feel? Item from USA Today, Dateline, Maiduguri, Nigeria. 2 female suicide bombers blew themselves up in a northeast Nigerian refugee camp, killing at least 56 people, health and rescue officials said on Wednesday. Unquote. My friends, these 2 female suicide bombers, they were moderate Muslims. They were law-abiding Muslims. Live and let live, not bothering anybody. Until, that is, they detonated and killed 56 people. So let me ask you a question. Are there any moderate, law-abiding Muslims here in America? We'll be back.
Howdy folks, have you ever thought about having your own backyard chickens? Now you have a source for certified organic, no GMO, no soy chicken feed. HappyHens.biz can even deliver, or you can pick up. Call me, Tim, at 303-829-5948, or go to HappyHens.biz for pricing and ingredients. At HappyHens.biz,
This morning. When you were talking about those loudest voices, those angriest voices, in that context you were referring to Donald Trump, correct?
He was one of them, yes. He was one. There's other people in the media. There's people in my state. I think we're seeing it across the country. But yes, Mr. Trump has definitely contributed to what I think is... in the past, but which one will appear to be drunk? That's fantastic, Howie Carr. This is why I love you. You've got to do this. I want this to be my intro every week, and we will call it Haley's Vomit.
I don't think you thought of that.
Blown power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Custom tailored capabilities as modest emergency lighting all the way to commercial scale power. Great Plains Power is a full-service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom design system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to GreatPlainsSolar.com. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God, to those who believe in his name, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 10 through 13. Article 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the places to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
That's too good. I will.
Guys, I'm still here. Howard Riell, Riell Truth. Here's a guy named Howie also. Howie Carr, the Howie Carr Show. It's a radio show. He's a big shot, so he's able to get Ann Coulter on the show. I'm just a little shot, so I'm not able to get her. But I can play a segment of his interview with Ann Coulter, and that's what I'm going to do. Here we go.
I will get that to you tomorrow, and we will we'll send it to you so you can have fun with it. And I don't know if you've seen it. You're not in one of the early primary states like we are nearby, so you may not have seen the Marco Rubio weather vane spot. Have you seen that one yet? You would enjoy it greatly.
Yes, I saw it. I think I saw it online. It actually is very... Does it show him in his high heels?
No, it doesn't show me. But it does show him, and his co-star is Chuck Schumer, the New York senior senator.
I did see it. No, I loved it. That's from Jeb exclamation point, right?
It is. Yeah, it's Jeb.
So that's great. So Jeb's attack on Rubio is
Jeb
on amnesty, whereas I have to remain solidly for amnesty.
No, excuse me here. Jeb exclamation point would be the actual campaign. This is Jeb not exclamation point, which is right to rise.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to keep it straight here. But anyway, here's Chuck Schumer. This is the trick question of 2016 for the Democrats, Ann. What is the difference between a Democrat and a socialist? And none of them have any ability to draw a distinction. There it is.
I've noticed that.
What's the difference between a socialist and a Democrat?
Oh, it depends how you define each one, doesn't it?
Well, you do it.
Well, I'm not going to get into it, but...
Why not? Nobody wants to. Debbie Watson and Schultz, the chair of the Democratic Party, won't answer my question. Hillary Clinton, you guys are well-schooled in political polemics and language and nomenclature. You're quite capable of defining the difference between a socialist, self-described, and a Democrat self-destruct.
Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about Bernie Sanders. I think Bernie is the real deal.
You'd think that after he asked the question the first 2 times, Ian, they would be prepared for it, kind of like, but on the other hand, Jeb Bush is never prepared for a question like that, even if it's been asked 7 times to him,
Yes, nor is he ever prepared for one of Donald Trump's zingers when he tries to take him down in the debate. That's really, and by the way, don't you feel like we've had enough debates at this point? We know exactly what's going to happen tomorrow night. Everyone will be a crashing bore. The only fun parts will be when Trump speaks. How many times does that poor man have to go through this?
And then after the debate is over, and I can go further than this, I can tell you, after the debate is over, Karl Rove and Charles Krauthammer will come on, and they will say Rubio won, and that this is the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
Don't forget the Luntz focus group.
And then the Luntz focus group, and all the people will be ducking because Frank Luntz's shirt, the button, he can't button the top button because he's gotten so fat, and they're afraid that if he tries to button the top button, it'll explode and put out one of their eyes. So they're all ducking. And they tell it, then he'll say, "Don't you hate Donald Trump? Don't you hate Donald Trump?" And they'll go, "Well, no, not really." And he'll say, "Well, you heard it, Sean. They hate Donald Trump here at my focus group."
And then the actual polls will come out, and the people will have said Donald Trump won.
Right, and then they'll say, "Well, that Matt Drudge poll, that's a self-selecting sample of 5 million people, so what the hell does that matter? So what if Jeb Bush only got 13 votes out of 5 million? It doesn't mean anything."
No, I know, and for people who aren't online or who have never participated in the Drudge poll, probably not too many of your listeners are confused by this, but you can't vote twice in the Drudge poll. It gets the Drudge poll, along with several other online polls. Some of them you can vote over and over again, but you can't vote twice. It sees I suppose if you had a different computer and went to a different Wi-Fi, but that's a lot of trouble to vote twice. Because they lie about it on TV, saying, "Oh, it's just, the same people voting over and over and over again." No, you can't do that on these polls.
Let me play this is Ted Cruz. I don't know if this is from my show, or I think it was from my show yesterday, cut 28. This is Ted Cruz. I want to get your take on the new Ted Cruz line of attack on Donald Trump. 28.
I think he may shift in his new rallies to play in New York, because, Donald comes from New York and he embodies New York values. And, listen, Donald seems to be a little bit rattled.
I've never seen Donald Trump look rattled in his life.
I asked Donald Trump, what do you think he's getting at? And he said, it's about the spirit of New York, but it's not that. What is Ted Cruz really getting at?
I mean, I guess he's trying the old line about Donald Trump being a liberal, but I think, as you and I have discussed, and anyone who cares to can very, very easily go on and look up the things Donald Trump was saying and writing, even as a businessman in New York. And by the way, I don't think anybody should be making that point on Fox News, owned by Rupert Murdoch, who not only donates to Hillary, but his newspaper endorsed her for the Senate. Businessmen have to operate in New York.
Exactly. Well, he does. He has the same excuse that Donald Trump has for giving money to Schumer and Spitzer and Weiner and Hillary.
Exactly.
You got to buy protection. Basically.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And it's actually quite impressive that for all those years, Donald Trump was openly calling himself a Republican. There's a fantastic video I'd recommend, maybe I'll link to it on my webpage, of Donald Trump being interviewed by Larry King at the 1988 Republican National Convention. He was invited by the first President Bush. And what was funny was not only, Larry King was pressing him on, now you're in New York and you're a Republican. Isn't that hard for you socially? And he said, yeah, it's a little odd. I'm a Republican, but I've just always believed in Republicanism. But this is what I found the most interesting about that. If you remember that time, Dan Quayle was the Sarah Palin of the day, viciously attacked by all the media. He was such a moron. And what was fantastic about this interview with Trump is no matter what King says to him, he keeps coming back to the fact, hey, and I just saw that young Dan Quayle give a speech. He was very impressive. Very impressive. And for those of you who remember that time, Dan Quayle was the stand-in for Sarah Palin. It was a moderate guy at the top of the ticket, Bush, and Quayle was supposed to be, the soft for the right wing. He was the conservative, and therefore he was reviled and ridiculed for being stupid. So that is really kind of an impressive thing, having Donald Trump, this massively successful businessman, repeatedly, no matter what King asks him, coming back and saying, boy, that Dan Quayle really impressed me.
Let me just read you a couple.
All right, folks, you can find this online anyway from the Howie Carr Show and Coulter. The bottom line is this. The media, the major media, the big money media, they lie. They lie openly, they lie boldly, they lie unashamedly because they have to. The bosses at the top will fire them from their high-paying jobs if they don't lie. The people at the top are billionaires who will never come into contact with lowlives like me or you. And so they don't have to worry about popular opinion or playing to the masses. They just have to make sure that the corporate money keeps coming in. And one way to do that is by scratching the back of other people in this whole corporate machinery. Even Fox News, you get more truth from Fox News than from other outlets, but you still don't get the whole truth. And they're still, just like National Review magazine, trying to sink Donald Trump, and that takes the credibility away from them. Let's move on. Item from the Daily Telegraph. From Catholic schoolgirl to allegedly carrying a knife wrapped in an Islamic Shahada flag and storing images of executions on her phone, Aloe Bridget Naoma's conversion has baffled her friends. Unquote. We'll be right back. Alright guys, please share this video. I will see you tomorrow. Hasta luego.